Throughout the ages, there have been heroes and warriors who have embarked on quests to save faraway lands and free the people from would-be conquerors. Today, legends are told from the tales of our terrible warriors. Chronicles of an unlikely group of nerdy adventurers armed only with their dice, some pretty stupid ideas, and a horseshoe up their butt as they come together to save the day in the Cakebread Chronicles. Seriously? You couldn't find anyone better?
Hey guys, welcome out to the Cakebread Chronicles, the summer edition. That's right, we are back here as a division of Terrible Warriors, but you've come to Cambridge, where things are weird, strange, and occasionally experimental, if you will. I am one of your many players today. I am Mike the Birdman Dodd, but I am joined with
Mr. Tristan.
And our first-time storyteller, dungeon master, game master,
Alex.
Ooh. Exciting times. And as I mentioned, I'm a player today, so allow me to give you the briefing as to what's going to happen as we enjoy the wonderful heat wave due to climate change, or perhaps Cthulhu, who knows.
Or just the fact that it's balls hot summer.
Exactly, you don't know. But yeah, we are taking things in a different direction for at least the summer months here on the Cakebread Chronicles, as we've talked about in our Marvel preview. We're going to be doing a series of one-shots and sort of doing some experimentation so we can all learn things about our bodies and ourselves. But today...
Oh my.
Exactly. Woo! We're going to throw things over to Alex as he takes us in a new direction for the Cakebread Chronicles. He's going to be taking us into a new role-playing game system that hopefully we'll be able to kind of feel out, see if whether we like it or don't like it. And we're going to just kind of experiment with it to see if it's something that we want to continue on with. Think of these next couple of adventures as mini movies, or this one is more like a television pilot, if you will, because that's more Alex's thing.
Yeah, you know what? I thought, I'm going to run a game. I wanted to run Starfinder. That's the next game I want to do. The issue I came across was it can be overwhelming to start a game that's that deep. And I've received the books for review from Paizo, and I'm going through it and going, there's a lot to this that I don't want to mess up my first go. So I thought, can I make basically baby's first RPG? And what I mean by baby's first RPG is I'm going to take a very simplistic system, maybe even make it more simplistic, and in fact I am. We're cutting out a few little things that are not really necessary for our gameplay, and I can go over that as we create our characters. And I'm going to have the characters created. That'll be one of our episodes here. And then another episode will be I put you in a scenario with a first encounter or two, and we go from there. It's not going to be a story that you're used to of a beginning, middle, end running over multiple hours. It's going to be just, here's a session.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, you're not going to find an episode 13 of this
no,
one.
Not at all. No, and this is, it's to get my feet wet, dip my toes in, and see how I go from there. And it might be a system that I want to come to again in the future to either continue this or to do more of a complete story on.
Yeah, so I kind of see this as, like I said, if I do the movies for Cakebread Chronicles, this is a television pilot. And as I said, this is a scenario, us trying out something. Will we get picked up by the network? Who's to say? And who's to say what is going to happen with us? And I don't know, I'm kind of excited to see how much have you learned by being a player, by playing Stargate, by playing Friday the 13th, by playing the Cakebread Chronicles, because now you're no longer a novice role player. And this is exciting.
That's debatable. That's really debatable.
You have experience, but you can still be a novice.
And yeah, absolutely. And I've played basically the Fate Core system, and we played Cthulhu, but that was
Call of Cthulhu's 7th edition.
Okay, and that was a blur to me. So.
Well, that one was more heavy on the role play as opposed to getting into the mechanics of like anything else. So that one, this will be different for you because now you also have to manage not just being a player, managing role playing. You're going to have to juggle rules lawyering, which I don't think it'll be a problem for you.
If I don't like a rule or I don't like where it's going, we're just going to ignore it existing.
And that's something that you can do as a DM. In fact, one of the things I'm doing now over on thisweekingeek.net is I'm resurrecting a series called Botched Roll, and one of my upcoming topics is how to DM, and I'll touch very briefly on house rules versus throwing something out entirely, stuff like that. So we'll see how Alex handles here, because you don't need to follow the book to its core letter every single time, because honestly it either gets overwhelming or a rule is poorly written or poorly explained, and you're going to bog your game down trying to read 20 pages of rules to figure out, well, do I hit the guy with the fucking grenade or not?
And that's where I get into this. Like I had put it out on Twitter, surprise, I guess if you're reading the title for this, it's a World War I game. And there are other systems out there and books that are very in-depth. The one that was recommended was Ross Rifles.
Yeah, and that's Canadian developed.
Yes, and it was very intriguing. It looked very good. But at the same time, I was too nervous and apprehensive about not knowing enough about the source material to just play that straight out. I didn't want to be offensive to anybody that is a big history buff, or to the writers of the book if I didn't follow their stuff to a T.
Yeah, whereas this one, from what I can tell now, Alex did not pass the book out before we actually started this session, which is a bit of an unusual thing for us here on Terrible Warriors, and we don't get a chance to usually we get a chance to read the rules beforehand. Alex is like, all right, I'm going to throw you kids into the deep end.
If I'm gonna be struggling, you're gonna be struggling.
And as it goes, that means that you, as the listener, you get to learn this system along with us. You get to learn the game as we go, just like us.
Exactly. So I'm predicting this should go fairly well, all things considered. I'm sorry, folks. I'm repositioning my microphone because it keeps falling off my shirt.
Oh, geez, we're already having issues.
Yeah. Sorry, Justin, if you're editing this.
It's I had picked up when I was on my kick of, hey, I'm going to play some role-playing games. This is even before
Cambridge,
before Terrible Warriors, not before it existing, before I was involved with it.
And I think I just talked to you about it, and you're like, hey, Mike, that sounds really fun.
Yeah, so I picked up about 3 or 4 different titles from it's the OneDice system from was it Cakebread and Walton, who it's an independent studio. You can pick them up on Drive-Thru RPG for, I'm not sure the exact price because I know that fluctuates.
I know they're cheap.
I know it's the book printed price is $12 American. I think I paid $15. Actually, I might have paid $10 from.
I think you got it during a sale.
It was during that. What was that company in Toronto that does
401 Games?
Yes, when they were still selling things other than just the 3 mainstream games, like
Pathfinder, D&D, and whatever.
Yeah, and I think that's all they sell now, and they were clearancing out a lot of stuff. So I picked up 3 books. I picked up their superhero version. I picked up the Universal system, and I picked up World War I. Because I thought, there's a war that isn't really talked about very much in general.
Yeah, I mean, the only mainstream thing I can think about World War I is Battlefield 1, and that's a computer game.
And then in Canada, you have the Passchendaele movie.
Yeah, Passchendaele. I was going to say Dunkirk, but that's World War II.
Yeah.
Then I think there was a Vimy Ridge movie, I want to say.
But as far as in popular culture,
yeah, it was Passchendaele and Vimy Ridge. You may have heard of the Somme if you're Canadian.
Oh, and then All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yes.
The 30s movie, and then I think we had to watch a 70s TV movie version starring John Boy from the Waltons or something.
Didn't Road to Avonlea touch upon the First World War too? Or Anne of Green Gables?
Anne of Green Gables. The second or the third TV series did when they did it was just mini movies, right?
Yeah. So you're definitely getting a slice of Canadiana today.
But
with this.
Again, to be sure that to not have to go into detail, we're not playing the game where we're going to be set in a specific event during the war itself. I'm setting these things a little differently, and I'll get into that after we do character creation.
Yeah, because me and Alex were talking about this last night. He's like, Mike, don't you motherfucking pull history buff on me.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna use this rifle, and that's nice because I'm gonna list it as a gun.
We don't have to worry about such historical accuracy here, just because. If you guys listen to Stargate, I was like, all right, I'm taking the M249 SAW, which is the squad automatic weapon. I decided to look up, okay, what was in a Canadian soldier's kit during the First World War? And it's funny because you mentioned the Ross rifle. The Ross rifle was the Canadian-issued rifle at the time, which then they switched to the Lee Enfield, which was the British standard weapon. And this is something for Alex, because my character, if I want to be what I want to be, if I use a Ross rifle, they're prone to jamming if I fire rapid, so you can fuck me right over.
I say that, but as far as I can tell, there isn't a jamming as a mechanic in the game.
But see, that's something you, as a GM, if you want to screw me... Let's say I roll a 1. Guess what, Mike? Your gun jams. Good luck.
Blows up in your hands.
Yeah, it blows up my hands, or I got jammed brass.
Roll to see how many fingers
But
you lose.
keep in mind, this OneDice system uses a D6, so where it's not your standard D20.
Yeah.
So you're dealing with
1
much...
isn't necessarily a failure.
Yeah, and you're dealing with much lower stats on everything. This game is going to be more role-play heavy than combat heavy.
Yeah.
Because I'm not setting you in the front, because it would get boring if you're just shooting at, I'm going to shoot.
Go kill the German guy.
Yeah, go kill the German guy. Go kill that German guy. Go kill... That's boring unless you're playing with a lot of people and you have like...
Or miniatures.
Yeah, like
if trench warfare.
If we were playing with like 4 or 5 people, I would have you take on a tank.
Yeah.
But we're not doing that.
Because I was talking with Alex last night. I said if we did Passchendaele or the Battle of Vimy Ridge, I was joking with Tristan too. Like, wow, we better have a stack of character sheets, because that was nothing but death for like 5-6 days.
Yeah, and as cool as that is, that's not what we wanted to do for Baby's first RPG.
Yeah, exactly. It's not fun to put you in combat counter after combat encounter, because part of DMing, in my experience, is you have to tell a story. And it's not as cool as, oh man, I blow off this guy's head and I do X, Y, and Z. Why am I doing X, Y, and Z? Exactly. And that's what I'm hoping you've learned in storytelling.
Exactly. So I'm going to give you, here's the backstory on the world. Here is what's happening. Here is what you two are here for. And I'm going to send you on a singular mission with probably 1 encounter to start. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to have an epilogue of here's the consequence of what you guys just did. And that's it. It's going to be very cut and dry. It's going to be as if you had went out and you wanted to play an RPG with a 6-year-old.
It's sort of like the introductory scenario they give you in the book, where they say, okay, guys, if you want to run this game with your friends, here's the introductory scenario. Because that's something we've never done on Cambridge Chronicles or any other show, really. We've never run the established module. And the established module is, okay, go rescue the princess, for example, and you go and accomplish that. It's always been, at least whenever I game master, typically, here's the world, I'm going to create a scenario from the world. I don't use modules because I don't want to use the map. I don't want to put you in what I call the plot railroad. Whereas the established module is, here's the story, here's the railroad, you have to go down XYZ and go into XYZ places.
Let's be real here. Us as the Cambridge Chronicles, even if you put us on a railroad, we will derail the fuck out of that train.
And you are nothing but an Amtrak disaster.
Exactly, and that is why I'm keeping the scope so small, so tight. It's not going to have a million options of what you can do. It's you're doing this one thing. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see what you have learned. We'll see if we'll see if the apprentice can pass the master.
No, it's not happening.
Give yourself some credit. You might surprise yourself.
Okay, fine.
So let's
Without
do
further
this.
ado.
Yeah, so I'll go over. I'm going to post a picture of the character sheet with this on Twitter as we release it, and there's a couple things in this character sheet that you're not going to use. One, move. It's an option in the game for how much movement you can do. Mm-hmm. We're not going to care about that.
Mm-hmm. That would kind of need some way to keep track of the positions of everything, and it would complicate things without the use of miniatures and maps.
It works better if you're taking into account, like, if you're taking on a tank or something, or you're using a lot of vehicles, that it can be used as a method of slowing down time and gameplay. We're not going to do that. Yeah,
like, I've never been a fan of using movement in games. I'm going to describe it to you, and if you ask me the question, Mike, am I within 5 feet? Yes. Are you within 20 feet? Yes.
It's that sort of idea, yeah. Because
it's more cinematic.
And it can be used to gauge things like, distance for firing guns and stuff.
Grenades or whatever.
But for the sake of this game, we're not going to take that into account or care about that.
Yeah, at this point, it's can I throw a grenade at them? Are they in range of a grenade? Yes or no. It's not a matter of, oh, well, they're 170 feet away. Can you have a throw distance of whatever and then a move of this? No, we're not going to worry about that.
I'm just going to simply do it where we're going to roll one of the D6s. Anything above a 3 is yes.
You have a check of 3. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Give it a drag.
Keep it simple, because role-playing games, as much as I love crunch in my games like D&D, Pathfinder, Shadowrun, crunch slows the game to a fucking crawl.
Unless you have a lot of very seasoned players that know exactly what they're talking about and they can do this and everyone knows the rules, they can move it forward. But for an adventure like this where we're all learning a new system at the same time from scratch, you don't want to worry about crunch in the meantime. You want to just get to the action, get to the fun parts.
Mm-hmm.
And some people do consider rolling and checking rules and numbers and such fun, but that's not the point of this, and I'm sure you as a listener aren't too concerned about us talking about numbers all day.
Yeah, exactly. We are not here for math class.
Exactly. And the other aspect is...
alternative history.
On the sheet, it gives you an option for sanity. Now, there's a couple reasons why this would be there. One is there are flavors, or skins as they call them in the book, to make it like an occult horror Cthulhu type thing. So you can make this a Cthulhu game, or there's just the fact of if this is a battlefront, like if you're in the trenches, you can have sanity as an aspect of the horrors of war.
Yeah.
Like your job could be the guy, I'm the guy that has to walk over the dead bodies, or like I have to hide within dead bodies.
Yeah, no.
And if you do that, roll your sanity, and you lose a point. And that can have effects on... If the lower your sanity...
Shell shock, stuff like that.
Yes, the lower your sanity is, you might have to roll a check for your sanity more often before you take an action.
Yeah,
that works
or not. Hallucinate. You could
throw your
things
aim
that
off.
there.
You could make the mistake and shoot the wrong person, that sort of thing. And that's something that is cool in there, but it's more of something for a different type of game than what we're playing today.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to cross that off. You're not going to use that on your sheet. So you're not going to use move. You're not going to use that. As far as everything else on there, there's the 3 main attributes for your character are strong, clever, and quick. That's what you're going to use. You determine other features like there's defense and health, and that's calculated based on those other stats there. And we'll move on from there. So now, have either of you thought of what kind of a character you'd like to play?
I have, yes, but Tristan, we haven't talked about this yet.
I'm kind of looking for an up-in-the-face kind of brutish fighter that just wants to get up and punch people and shoot some bad guys as close as he can.
Trench fighter, basically.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I see. So you got that. So, and I see you've got some line paper, so you can make up your stats. So
I
basically,
bring notes and stuff with me to these games.
Yay!
I'm going to use scratch paper on the side of my thing.
I'm going to drop my dice on the floor.
Doesn't matter. I have extra dice. Yay!
I have an extra one in my pocket, always prepared.
So, what I've done is I'm cracking open the book because we're going to go together with character creation. So, Chapter 1, How to Play. Now, this book is pretty simple in that the first 7 pages are, what is a role-playing game? It starts out from there. So this is already a baby's first RPG book.
So, presuming you're listening to this podcast, you know what the hell an RPG
I think
is,
you know
but
what
even if you're not.
Yeah, exactly. And it even has an entire multiple paragraphs on rolling the bones or how you roll a 6-sided dice.
Yes. Which, my dice today, these are virgin dice. I'm actually using the My Little Pony Dungeons and Dragons dice that were the HasCon exclusive last year. So my dice are Pinkie Pie themed.
Cool. I've got a war dice, I think, from Wiz Dice, and I've got some sort of pink looking one that I think I found at the Dragon here.
So
I'm
nice.
personally using the same one of the dice I was using for our last campaign, Cambridge Chronicles.
And I've got a cup we can roll into if you want, but I mean, it's just one dice, so...
Yeah, I'm not too worried about it.
So it has an option here. Making an adventurer. So it says, decide on your adventurer's abilities. The abilities are strong, clever, and quick. Those are your attributes that you'd have in D&D. So instead of like 20 different things, you've got 3. So
simple.
Very simple. You're using a singular 6-sided die, so that makes sense. So it goes into details about how you calculate these based on certain things. So what you have the option to do here is you must have between a 1 and 3 category. So you've got a total of 3 you can have for each of your attributes. So clever, quick, and strong can have a 1, 2, or a 3 in it. They must total a total of 6, which makes up the 6-sided die. So you can do it any way you want. You can roll for it if you wanted it random, but you wanted, Michael, you said something about wanting to be a sniper.
Yeah, sniper is what I would prefer.
So I'll read you the descriptions of the abilities.
Okay.
And you can decide how you want to place them in there from there.
So basically I have, so just so I get this straight, so I understand.
Yeah.
So I have 3 attributes and they all have to total 6.
Correct.
Okay.
So it's more of a stat buy program for this part.
Pretty much.
Okay.
So all the characters and creatures in this world and in this game will have a set of abilities as follows. Strong. How strong your adventurer is. It says this is good when you want to lift, carry, push, pull, or thump enemies, it says. What a very British thing to do. Thump enemies with your fists, kick them with your foot, hit someone with a shovel or rifle butt, threaten someone, and get what you want. So it's basically your
brute strength.
Your brute strength and
Perfect.
And what you'd have for like your exercise or fitness level.
Yeah.
So then there's clever. How clever you are, which is this is good when you want to read a map, follow a course, aim, shoot a gun, read a difficult book, work on how to use your device you've never seen before, negotiate with someone to get what you want, etc. So it's sort of your intelligence and charisma, as well as things that are more fine motor skills.
Okay. So if I put a 3 in that, I only have 3 dice to put between my other 2 skills.
3
correct?
points.
3 points, correct.
Okay, so
And then quick is how quick you are, which is how nimble you are on your feet. It's good for climbing, going first into a fight, scrambling out of the mud, sneaking about, hiding from the enemy, etc. So it is your, I guess not really endurance. It's more
Agility,
agility, dex, mixed with
your quickness of mental acuity.
Yeah, you would put more in there if you wanted to be a scout or a spy.
Yeah, some slippery get in, get out.
Yeah, like the guy that goes in and basically places the bomb without ever being seen.
So
And all stats must have a minimum of 1 and a maximum of 3.
Correct.
Okay.
So each player has 6 ability points divided between that. Now, and you can decide how you want to put it. You can roll for it, and then you can make your character based on that. But if you have a general idea, like you both do, of what you want to do.
So for example, just so I have this example correct, so I put a 1 in strong, 3 in clever, 2 in quick, that's 6.
Okay, well there's 3 examples right in here I can read to you of how they placed it. So example 1, our first player wants to play someone who is strong and fairly fast. He uses his 6 points to give his adventurer, they gave it a random name, strong of 3, clever of 1, quick of 2.
Yeah.
Example number 2 is player wants a good all-rounder, and then it was just 2, 2, 2.
Yeah.
2, 2, yeah.
Number 3 was the player wants someone who is clever and nimble, so it's strong of 1, clever of 3, quick of 2. So
Which is me, exactly.
Yes. You're basically, you're not a frontline fighter, you are somebody who sits back and...
I'm a scout.
And picks, you can notice somebody quickly, and you have the ability to snipe them out quickly and use machinery, guns. You're basically the technician.
Yeah.
So if we're going with that, I would...
As a brutish fellow myself, I want to get in there and punch people in the face. I'm going to be selecting 3 for strong, 1 for clever, because I don't really need a lot of wits for this, and 2 for quick to get a reasonable pace to get in and out.
So you're basically swapping each other and playing the exact opposite, which is good because it'll play into this very well.
Which is weird because normally I'm the frontline fighter and you hang back.
Yeah, I love to hang back on almost everything, but I want to try something new.
Mark those down in your sheets, I guess, if you haven't already.
Done and done.
As simple as it is.
And done.
Now, you'll gain experience as you go on, and that can eventually make things rise, but not those base stats because you're dealing with one singular dice.
Yeah, okay.
What can go up is things like your HP and that eventually. Now, for health, what you do is your maximum health is your adventurer's strength multiplied by 3.
So, I have 3 hit points. So basically a stiff breeze can kill me.
Pretty much.
Yep, which is comparable to D&D, because most spellcasters have a 1d4 hit points when they first begin out. 1 if you're really unlucky.
So, but think about this. What'll happen is you're not likely to run into battle and take somebody. It'll be Tristan that runs into battle with his total of 9 HP.
Exactly.
And
go get him, Trench Club.
It also means that when he is rolling for his defense, he'll roll his strong because it'll be a feat of strength if it's hand-to-hand combat. Now, if you're being sniped at yourself, you're number 3. You've put a 3 in clever, right?
Yes.
You'll have an advantage to if somebody's shooting at you from afar, you have a better advantage on that.
Because I can get the hell out of the way.
Because you'll be rolling against it with your clever.
And I'm not too clever myself, so I have a disadvantage.
So you'll
sniped at.
Exactly.
By the way, how many spare sheets do we have? Just out of curiosity.
I have 3 extra spare sheets, and
Can I have a spare sheet?
I can photocopy more, no problem.
Okay, because I kind of spilled water on mine.
Mike wet himself.
I did. I peed. Because I'm like, oh my god, something's going to hurt me.
I Mike-proof this game, don't worry.
I love it.
So, now there's the other part where you can calculate your move, which we're not going to do because we don't care.
No.
Now, your defense. The score an attacker needs to roll to injure you. The defense is actually 3 times your strong or quick, whichever is higher, which is what I mentioned. So, you're actually, to make this even more simplified, you're both going to basically have a 9 of defense.
His quick is 2, his strong is 1, so his defense would be 6.
Sorry.
So
yes, sorry, your defense would be 6.
So my defense is my clever times 2?
Your defense is...
Would be your
quick, sorry.
Is higher between your strong and quick times 3.
So my clever is 3... sorry, I'm having processing.
Strong and quick are the 2...
Yeah,
whichever one of those is higher.
Okay.
So which one of those is higher?
Clever is 3.
Clever... Okay, strong and quick, though.
Okay, strong and quick is 2.
Okay, so 2 and then times 3.
Okay.
So you got a 6.
So 6 for defense.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Tristan will have 9.
Yes. My defense is 9, my health is 9, I'm nice and tanky.
Yeah.
Comparatively.
Which is needed because Michael's basically a
Squishy.
You die.
Yes. But get him a rifle and have him shoot across.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
yes, I am your spellcaster.
Then the next
your
part
spells are bullets.
The next part is developing your background. And it's literally one line. It just says your adventurer's background includes their social status and the job, if any they do. I'm going to let you pick anything you want because it's not going to affect how we're playing this game. You can come from anything. You are conscripted into the military. So your status as far as if you're upper class or lower class isn't going to do anything except affect how you choose to play.
Okay, so this is where you'd want us to talk about that.
Yeah, so you've already got sort of a background, and as Tristan can make his up as he goes, but you may as well go into yours first then.
Okay, so mine is, I am a bit of a history buff. I really, really love Canadian history, and since this is the First World War, I wanted to do something kind of special, and what I am is I'm going to be one of the 4,000 Aboriginal soldiers, so 4,000 of the native soldiers that fought in the First World War. Actually, it turns out the most deadly soldier in the First World War was a sniper who was Aboriginal, who was from Parry Sound. Had something like 377 confirmed kills.
Good Lord.
If I'm not mistaken. So, I'm going to be from my original hometown of Owen Sound. I will be part of the 147th Grey Battalion of the Canadian Expeditionary Force. And my name is Private James Ashkowee. And I am a scout/sniper, which means scout means my goal or my mission is to run between headquarters or whoever and to the front lines and to deliver orders, messages, or recon enemy positions as a sniper, and basically get intel. I'm like a spy. I'm supposed to stay hidden. I'm a sniper because my clever is 3. Which I kind of chalked it up to my background. Well, I'm a hunter. And at this time, Canada had only been settled since 1863, so people were still, a lot of them were still hunting their own food, especially from the native reservation where my character and myself are from, Cape Croker. So, as far as I'm concerned, I'm just a really, really good hunter who decided I want to defend my country. I entered the war in 1916 at the age of 16. I lied about my age. I'm
Okay.
a kid.
And for the sake of this, you speak perfect English.
Oh, yeah. Well,
You're not going to pull any bullshit on me
would
like you're
have to.
speaking something that I don't understand.
Oh, no. The only word I would say is Ani, which is hello in Ojibwe, which is my tribal language, and Miigwech, which is thank you.
Cool.
So there you go. You've now learned a little bit about the Birdman's history.
Ani and Miigwech.
So, yeah.
Very cool. My character is a little bit less involved in history with that, as I am not quite the history buff Mike is in any way, shape, or form. World War I is a subject that I haven't really spent a lot of time learning about. Unfortunately, I do respect and appreciate the history that is there, as those who do not study history are doomed to repeat it, etc. As for my character, I have decided that he was a bit of a bully before the war. He was from the lower class. He spent a lot of his time on the streets roughing up passers-by that were in the wrong place at the wrong time. A real brutish fellow, really nasty to be around there, but when the war happened, he signed up for the right cause because he really likes the life that he has right now and wants to defend it. That's about it.
Pretty simple.
Exactly. Straightforward.
just
He's an asshole. He's a
Bit,
bully.
bit of a street thug bully.
Exactly.
And is it, like, what town? Do you have an idea? Or are you just going to set it from anywhere?
From the rough streets of the new and budding Toronto.
Which means you would have probably went to CFB. I'm trying to think what Canadian Forces base you would have went to. Probably Borden.
Sure.
So, which is Barrie. So, yeah, we would have trained at the same location. Maybe that's how we know each other. Or
Very
if we do know each other at all.
And for the sake of this, I'm going to say you do.
Okay.
So
Excellent.
When we get into this, I'll explain why that might be significant.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can add for flavor here. For those of you, once again, significance of Owen Sound, and this might be of interest to Alex, one of the best World War I aces, Billy Bishop, came from Owen Sound.
Oh, wow.
So, we have the Canadian Billy Bishop Museum, and that's where Billy Bishop Airport's named after. So,
Because now, as this game goes, it has an aspect of social status. Mm-hmm. So you can be aristocratic and wealthy, middle class, it says comfortable. And this plays into if you're going to have a larger team, let's say you were playing with 4 or 5 people, you could have one person who's like a working class who doesn't get along with...
Well, actually, this kind of works for you. If you want to talk about social status, Aboriginal soldiers stood out because the majority of Canadian forces, there were very few people of color, and there were remarkably few Aboriginal soldiers.
So you might be known.
Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the native. That's the Injun, as they might say.
But at the same time, how I'm setting this, I'll explain in the next episode.
Ooh.
It's not going to matter. In fact, they're probably just going to be happy you're there.
I'm just a warm body to fill a slot. Oh boy.
Oh, I thought you said warm body to fill a slut, and I'm like,
Oh,
no,
we're not going that way. No.
bad words. Now, there's also job skills, they call it here. Mm-hmm. And that would be sort of what you do as a position.
Do we get to pick what our skills are?
Yep, there are ones here where it's like they have auxiliary, which can be anybody. They have somebody. There's a Batman.
There's a Batman skill? That's awesome.
Batman/woman. It says an officer's personal driver and servant. So,
Alfred?
I guess you can be the chaplain.
Yeah.
There's criminal.
That fits me
But
pretty
that
well.
kind
I'm
of
good with
suits you,
that.
yeah.
Dilettante, diplomat, engineer, infantry recruit, NCO versus private. There, like, it gets into much more detail of like a journalist, medical doctor, orderly. Literally, they are
private.
listing like 30 or 40 different jobs you could have had, and what that affects is it gives you an extra little stat on things like artillery or perception. A lot of these stats we aren't going to be using because
we're not using heavy gear.
And we're not staging a large, crazy
Scale battle.
game. Exactly. So, they give an example here. It says, example 1, our first player wants to be a medical orderly, so the profile looks like this. Medical orderly, working class, strong 3, clever 1, quick 2, and then it has the health 9, defense 9, move we're not
So
counting.
basically character classes.
Yeah, and then you get 2 stats that go with it. and they give you a +1. It's +1 for specific tasks that you might do.
Okay.
Huh.
So, for your guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the class, and we'll make one up for each of you because you already said you want to be a sniper.
Yeah.
And you want to be criminal. I don't know if that's really the right thing at this
Not
time.
quite fitting the current Diana. That's what I would choose if it was
Well,
like,
it
hey,
makes sense
build your
'cause he would've
character and
been
then we'll go
conscripted.
in.
He would have been, but for the sake of this, well, I guess I would be.
If you survive, you get a pardon.
I would say private probably.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I
Like
am too.
like you're like general infantry, and then you're going to be part of the snipers.
Yeah.
So
Do you want me to have a higher rank than him?
you're going to be equal rank
Okay.
for the sake of this, and I'm not going to give you 2 stats bonuses because we're not going to need it.
Okay.
You're going to get 1. So yours, Michael, will be, I guess it would be long distance.
Okay, so that's a skill.
Yeah, for
Okay.
basically things involving long distance,
Okay.
which could be easily something like reading, or it could be because you could use your scope to read something farther away,
Yeah. Or I could
or-
see like an enemy.
or like if you're trying to shoot something,
Positions.
aiming and stuff, you're going to get a +1 to that.
Okay.
Which is for something very specific.
Okay.
And I'm going to say for yours, Tristan, it's going to be hand to hand. You'll get 1. So if you have to use guns, you got like your standard skills. But if you have to use a knife and you are going hand to hand, you'll have a +1 for that. The game is basically made so that for the most part, I think it generally goes in the player's favor when you roll.
Yeah.
Because
you want to move the plot forward. If you fail, you're going to end up dying pretty fast.
Let's
Yeah.
say, yeah, I'm toast.
Yeah, so we'll do that just for the sake of adding the skills in. They're not necessary. We don't even really need them for what we're doing here.
Yeah.
But it's just to play along with the rules a little bit. We'll throw it in because it has an option here. It says create new skills. If you don't find one, that's what we just did.
But say, can we create a skill right now?
Uh,
I'd like to create the skill tracking.
if that's what you want instead, I'm only going to let you have 1.
Ooh.
See, now you already have an advantage
I'm
for
clever.
for shooting, so you don't necessarily need the sniping one.
So say, because, well, I've got long distance. So as far if you as the game master determines that that's applicable, tracking, I'd like to be able to use that as I'm a scout. I need to be able to see where enemies are going. And it would be
If you
useful as a
do you want to
recon.
use that as your skill as scouting? Because that can
Okay,
that
yeah.
can encompass a little more, just for semantics' sake.
Okay, so scouting at +1.
So it says how to use skills to perform action. Most characters have various abilities and skills they can use. So how it would work is, if there's a chart here, the gamekeeper always, and by the way, it's gamekeeper here, not GM, for whatever
Okay.
reason, always decides the difficulty of the task. There's a chart that shows you the difficulty. So if something is a routine thing, no roll is needed. That would be something for an example of driving on a quiet day, clear day on a wide road. Now,
Which someone is probably doing it in our background.
yes, exactly. Mildly challenging would be a target number of 3, which is driving in the pouring rain. Challenging is a 6, driving fast in the pouring rain on a narrow road. Hard would be a target number of 8, so that would mean that you have to roll your dice plus your skill.
And hope to
And
Christ you've got a modifier.
Cross your fingers, cross everything. you
Yeah,
can
and
cross.
hope that you have a modifier on it as well. So that would be like you take your clever, add that to your roll plus your skill if it applies to it. That would be driving on a narrow, muddy road. The very difficult is 10. So driving through the mist on a crowded, narrow road, and then near impossible is 12 plus.
Jeez.
So to get a 12 plus, consider this: you can't do it.
Let's say,
there's just no
A
reasonable
12
way.
The
plus-
system is not designed for this.
Yeah, a 12 plus would be you have 2 skills because I'm only giving you 1.
Yeah.
2 skills that are at least a +1, and you've got 9. But even then, you'd only roll 11.
Yeah.
So it would have to be something that multiple down the line.
Yeah,
after
you've built
leveled-
up some skills.
Because as you level up, while your base stats don't go up, your
skills
your
do.
skills can go up by 1.
Okay.
Let's say you leveled up, I would give you a +2 to your skill. So you could then potentially do something that was near impossible. But for the sake of this, so we don't go way overboard, you're not going to be able to do that. That's why I'm only giving you 1. And it's pretty simple. Again, these rules are nothing out of the blue that we wouldn't have expected.
Yeah.
it's all keeping in line with being a singular dice, rolling a maximum of 6, plus whatever your stats are.
Keep it simple.
Exactly. And skills versus skill, it's the same thing. You roll your defense, blah, blah. I'm not going to be a dick about it. I'm not going to make a character that you can't win against. And I'm not going to put you in a situation where you can't win. Unless it's like, hey, I'm going to go punch Hitler while he was a baby. I'd be like, why?
Is it an option to punch Hitler while he was a baby?
Yeah, and there's options for quick actions, dying and stuff.
In World War I.
This is not the game where you're going to die in. You're not going to party wipe like we did.
Yeah, no. There will be no zombies.
Absolutely not. So there is also an option in here that talks about how historically accurate you want to make your game, and then it's all philosophical, and there's things like clothing. Now, I'm not going to make your roll for the type of armor and stuff you're going to wear. We're not even going to take that into account as far as, because we're not taking weight into it. Everything is based on the move.
Yeah.
And because we're not having the move stat, we don't need to worry about how heavy your clothes are if it slows down your movement.
It's only thematically if you want it to matter.
Yeah.
Exactly. These are all things. And what I've learned from you is don't be a rules lawyer. Don't be
keep the action moving.
Exactly. And it's not about that in this round. So
I just need to know one thing.
Yep.
How much damage does my gun do?
That's going to depend on when we roll it up.
You're giving us weapons randomly?
I'm going to give you... You're going to have your rifle, but how it's going to work is the weapon does the same damage that close quarters combat does.
Interesting.
I could punch somebody as hard as a bullet.
Cool.
Like a
killing hands.
Like the thing is, I'm going to institute a rule that if you do get a headshot, and I will make it difficult.
Yeah.
Like your challenge rating will be higher. If you aim for the head, it will be an instant kill.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not even going to take their health away for that. But how we roll it is the damage is based on what you roll if you beat their defense.
Okay.
And that's same going to be for gun shooting, because we're not going to deal with all the extra little minutia that goes along with it, or it becomes a combat heavy game, and that's not what I'm wanting.
Yeah.
Not the point here.
Yep. All I'm saying is I have a Ross rifle Mark III, which was the sniper model. And for thematic reasons, if you want to hose me, if I fire rapid, if I say I'm firing bam 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 bam, those guns are prone to jamming.
Oh, if you're gonna fire rapid, I'm gonna give it a challenge rating of 12 where you can't hit it.
Yeah.
Be like each bullet is going to go up a challenge rating of 2 or 3 points.
Yeah, because of the recoil, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
Recoil and
Absolutely.
proneness to jam, so after a
And that's
certain point
saying-
it hits 12 and you've jammed.
That's saying you get there.
Yeah, and I'm totally willing to have that because that's the thing. As a player, be willing to give your GM things that can fuck you over because it makes the role playing experience that much more interesting.
Make it interesting. Don't play to win. Play to have fun.
Yeah, don't min max. And
play to make a story.
Yeah, AJ, I'm talking to you directly. Don't fucking min max. No one likes a power player. But yeah, like I'm totally willing to give you stuff like that, and that's why I want to give you a little bit of historical context as well, because the native soldiers weren't necessarily treated so well because we're viewed as outsiders, and maybe that's why me and Tristan's character get along so well.
And this is like
we're outsiders.
This is prime like residential school time, and
this
all
is
that
a bad period. Of
horrible
Canadian
BS
history.
that the government only was recently admitted happened.
Yeah. So this can be as interesting as we want it to be in historical context. And obviously we're being very respectful to Canadian history, and I want to be respectful to my heritage, because even growing up in grade 6, when I learned about Billy Bishop, when I learned about the Canadian snipers and the residential schools and the Aboriginal soldiers, I thought that shit was awesome.
Not awesome that it
happened, but the fact that I was able to learn about
literally residential schools, not awesome.
Oh no, residential schools were horrible mismanagement and horrible treatment of Aboriginal children.
Awesome as the literal definition of inspiring awe.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. I was like, wow, all this stuff happened to me.
The closest I can give as far as a comparison of for anybody listening in the States what residential schools are, if you've seen a lot of history shows on the poor houses in England, like. Just where, but even more so, try stripping all your culture away, and then you have to live in places that are substandard where you get sick.
If you were left-handed, they would tie your left hand under, like behind your back, or you'd have to sit on it and be forced to use your right hand because
Yeah,
left
you
hand
would
was
learn
wrong.
to be ambidextrous.
Yeah, because
Not even ambidextrous.
Well, no.
You cannot use your left hand.
left-handed is close to the devil.
Yes, left-handed are sinners. They're sinister.
Man, I can't imagine using my left hand. That just feels weird.
But I'm a lefty, or I'm sort of a bit of everything. I do writing with my left, cutting with my
Really?
right.
I've never noticed that.
I bat left-handed, throw right-handed, hockey left-handed.
Yeah, I
golf,
shoot left.
Golf right-handed, but hockey left-handed.
That's really weird. Those
I know.
are
I know. I use
not the same, but very related.
Scissors right-handed, knife left-handed.
That's so strange. I've never noticed that about you.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I want to give you things that if you want to have it come up in the game, that's cool. And I'm not going to beat you with the history newspaper, but it's there if you want it. And that's something I encourage GMs and players to do. Cooperate like that. Give your players something interesting. For example, to throw an example back to Cambridge Chronicles, Tristan went insane once, and he role-played it out. And that gave me something to play with. And I was like...
That was so much fun.
That was a neat
Was
moment.
your inspiration the cat lady from The
Yes.
Simpsons?
Oh, yeah.
Now, before we close out for the hour, could you sort of summarize your characters? What do you have on your character sheet? Read it out.
Okay, so I'll go first. So my name is James Ashkoe. Profession is scout/sniper. Rank is private. Level 1, experience 0. We didn't talk about stunt points. I don't think we're not
We're not going to
that
include
mechanic?
stunt points, and the stunt points are very similar to how they work in the Fate Core system, where you can get a chip and you can throw it in for...
Yeah, so something like modern AGE or fantasy AGE.
Yeah, where it basically gives you, for one event, you can get an extra point towards your roll.
I have a strong of 1, a health of 3, so I'm very thin. I'm very, very lithe. I don't have a lot to me.
You are a leaf with a cannon.
My clever is 3. My defense is 6. I'm very quick-minded. I'm very astute of noticing my surroundings. Basically, as a hunter growing up on the reservation, to sneak up on a deer or a bear or whatever I'm hunting, you got to be quick. You got to be quiet. My quick is 2. So I'm pretty good, but I'm not the greatest. Like sometimes I may snap a twig at the wrong time, but if I sit there with my with my clever, I can pick you off at almost any range.
Sounds good.
This is James Ashkoe, your 147th Canadian Expeditionary Force.
I am Jack Ashton, a brutish bully before the war, but now become kind of an up-in-your-face fighter. Likes to punch people rather than shoot them, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Just tries to survive, fight for his country, fight for the life that he loves to lead in back home. Strong is 3. I'm nice and strong. It comes with punching people all the time. Health is 9, so I'm nice and tanky there.
Oh my god.
Clever is 1. I'm not very smart, to be
So
honest.
you're very beefy.
Exactly. I'm brutish. I don't need to think. I can just think with my hands.
I picture you kind of like Dum Dum Dugan from Captain America, complete with the hat.
Pretty much. I have a quick of 2, so it's about average there, but I don't need to be too fast, but at the same time, I don't want to be slow. I don't want my prey to get away from me. Defense is 9. That also comes from my strong, so I am one beefy mother, and it's hard to take me down.
It sounds good.
Yeah, so we are representing the 147th out of Grey County, and this will be good. I think we both trained at CFB Borden. If I'm not mistaken, if there's any history buffs that want to correct us, feedback at terriblewarriors.com. Let us know. But yeah, we're really looking for... I am legitimately excited for this, actually. So
Me too. Me too.
Let's see how alternate history World War I goes. So I guess join us next hour as we take the leap of faith into the battlefield of the European theater with our Game Master Alex. So for Terrible Warriors, I have been your player, Mike the Birdman Dodd with
Mr. Christopher.
Take us out, Alex.
And Alex. I was looking over at Michael just right now before we're closing, and he looks surprised to say player.
I know, it's so weird.
It just feels so wrong.
All right.
And yet so right.
Exactly, and we'll be back with the game.